Welcome everyone and hello, this is Dave Meyer and I'm delighted to be here to talk with you about how to make your website work for you. This is a Get Your Business online event with Google and I'm excited to be here with you today. For those of you who don't know me, I am the president and owner of BusyWeb, which is a digital marketing agency located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I'm also super excited to be an official Google speaker and trainer. So this is our first webinar that we're doing as part of that program. And I hope to see many of you across the country as I travel around the country to share more about how to get your business online. Now, this is going to be an ongoing series, and this actually takes the place this month of our regularly scheduled Buzzcast, which is usually an interview with a business luminary on digital marketing topics. So hang on and we'll do another one of those next month. And for those of you who are subscribed to our content at BusyWeb, just keep tuned to all of that. But if you're watching this live from Google, so excited to see you today. All right, I'm going to screen share back over to the presentation, and we're going to get started because we have a lot to go through. Now, there are a few things that I want to share with you as we talk through how to make your website work for you. The first among those is how to ask questions on today's event. So if you are logged in from the BusyWeb website, there's a link right underneath that video that says YouTube Live, and I've highlighted it right here. If you click on that YouTube Live window, that's going to take you to this screen. And what's going to happen with this screen is that you will see the video and you'll be able to scrub back and forth. If you missed something or have another question, you can scrub on that, or you can ask us questions in the live chat window. So be sure to ask questions during today's live event, and would love to have your feedback and input about how we can make you help grow your business a little bit more. So get a hold of us that way, and that's the best way to connect. If you do have other questions, you can also reach me at dave@busyweb.com. All right, so let's talk about how to make your website work for you. There's a bunch of stuff that people need to know and that we've dealt with for 20 years at BusyWeb when we talk about websites and specifically how to make them into business generation tools. So whether you've had a website for 10 years or you're just getting started, this workshop is designed to give you the information that you need to plan, create, or recreate your site to accomplish business goals. We're going to look at 6 characteristics of a great website. It needs to be goal-oriented. It needs to be intuitive or easy to use on any device, and we're going to talk more about that in a moment. It needs to be organized and easy to search, useful, functional, and of course, it needs to be findable by search engines like Google. We're going to talk a lot about some high-level things today. If you have specific questions, please don't be shy and ask us those questions using the chat feature on the YouTube Live video. So let's get started. A great website needs to start, like anything in marketing, with goals. Many business owners know that building a website is an important early step, but a website can be a lot more useful than just a business card or a brochure. And that's the way people tend to approach their website. With some advanced planning, you can create a site that helps your business grow right out of the gate. How do you want to grow? You need to start by defining what success means to you. Ask yourself, why do you want a website and what do you want it to do? Your site needs to be a tool that can help you achieve your business goals. Usually relates somewhere around cash, of course. You need more money, you need more business, you need more whatever your business needs. Some others might be just building your company brand so that people know about you, generating business leads if you have a sales department, or if you're in a business-to-business or B2B kind of a business, generating leads is always urgent. To simply make sales, to re-engage customers. Sometimes our best business and our easiest growth opportunities are sitting right inside of the people that already know us. To attract employees, to provide customer support, and of course, all kinds of other things. So depending on what your company needs, I would encourage you to pick one as you look at building your website for now, and then we can focus on these others later. But say, for example, you just needed to make sales. We'll show you how to build a website that will meet that need. Once you have your goal in place, you need to think about your target audience, who your website is for. This is going to influence how you build your site and how your goals are going to be achieved. If you're trying to reach a business-to-business customer, you're going to approach them much differently than if you were just simply trying to make a sale or to introduce your company or your brand to the world. Your audience impacts everything from the design to the words on the web pages. Your site shouldn't try to be everything to anyone, but instead narrow down on your audience. Your website isn't really about you at all. Instead, it's about the people that you're trying to reach. Your job as a business owner or as the chief of marketing or sales for your organization is to get people to take some specific next step. In order to do that, of course, you need to have a target audience. Defining that audience might sound simple, but it takes a little bit of effort. You need to think about demographic data like gender, age, employment status, job function. There's a lot of really interesting tools that are available on groups like LinkedIn or Facebook, or of course, just using Google Trends to help grow and think about what people are interested in and looking for. You need to think about what really connects with your identified customers in order to stand out among your competitors. There are stereotypes about your audience that could lead to false assumptions. So be careful about overgeneralizing and instead make small tests to make sure that you're reaching the right people. Ask yourself what really makes your audience unique. This might be one step backwards from what makes you unique as an organization, because your organizational goal should be to uniquely serve your customer. Your goal needs to be to complete a picture of your target audience, what marketing folks might call a marketing persona. For example, examine specific age ranges rather than one large range. You don't want to reach everyone. You don't want to reach all men over age 20. You want to look at specific subsets of a population, and social media tools can actually help you narrow that in. Consider location. If you do business locally, and certainly if you have a brick and mortar organization or business, then the city that you're in and so many miles around that might be a better way to connect. Consider their education level, the type of employment that they have, their hobbies and their interests. Consider the values that these people have, and consider the view of your product or service. Are they going to view what you offer a necessity, something that's nice to have, or perhaps a special treat? Or are they simply ambivalent and you're going to need to convince them of why they need to work with you? Once you've defined your audience, keep them in mind when moving forward with your site. And now that you're thinking about your goals and your audience, let's add another consideration to the mix: tracking and measuring your success. If you don't measure your website's performance, you're not going to have any way to make improvements, or at least improvements based on data. Here's a way to think about it. If you made some modifications to your bicycle to make it go faster, if you don't know the max speed before those modifications, how will you know if it worked? Similarly, you need to track and measure online success so you know what kind of improvements to make. You should always be testing and getting real results back on what's happening with your website. And there's a lot of ways to do this. You can start by simply asking your customers how they found you. Ask when they call you on the phone, when they visit your store, or whenever you're corresponding by email. Say, hey, would you mind telling me where you found us? You can also get more precise by setting up a trackable phone number. If you advertise with Google, as many of our clients do, you can set up free call tracking, which records every time your ad results in a phone call. You can also track the number of emails and form submissions on your website. This is where having a dedicated call to action on every page of your website comes in really handy. You want to get people to take a physical, measurable response. And so if you give them an easy way to find that response, and then you can measure how many times they visited that responding page or filled out that form or gave you a call based on a click on your website, That will help a ton. Of course, if you have e-commerce in your website, or if you sell things directly online, you can directly track your sales. And of course, you can use Google Analytics to analyze visitor behavior and see exactly how those visitors engage on your site. I have another seminar that I will be giving soon that talks in detail about how to use analytics to guide your business decisions. But for our purposes today, just know that you need to have analytics tied to your website, and it's a free tool that's incredibly powerful. As an exercise, think about your website or your future site and list at least one new goal that you would like to incorporate. Be very specific about what you're trying to accomplish. Be realistic and set those guidelines. You want to make it SMART, right? Specific, measurable, achievable, results-based, and time-oriented. And think about, again, the ways that you're going to measure success. It might not be new sales. It certainly shouldn't just be a measurable metric on websites like visits or views or clicks, because that doesn't really directly tie to the way your business works. But having those metrics and having defined goals is definitely going to help you move forward with your marketing with your site. I'm going to click over just for a second and double check to make sure that we don't have any questions. So, yep, if you do have questions during today's event, be sure to ask questions here. So if you have specific questions about how all of this web stuff works, be sure to go ahead and get a hold of me by clicking on that link. All right, so we decided and we agree that we need to measure success, but now you need to think about what makes your website actually useful. This section is designed to focus on how intuitive your website is. It could be pretty, it could be, beautiful and have all kinds of moving pictures and stuff, but your website, again, is designed to be a tool to get people to do something. So what you need to focus on, does your website naturally lead visitors through a process on your site to accomplish the goals that you laid out? Another way to think about it, visitors shouldn't have to think about what they're looking for in order to do what they want to do on their site. If you have to think too hard when someone visits a website, the likelihood is that they're just going to click off to some other website that's more intuitive, right? Website design and getting people to where you want to go isn't Where's Waldo. If people have to hunt and peck and search around and click 3 or 4 times to get to where they want to go, the likelihood that they'll actually take that step goes down dramatically with each additional step. So think about the design and how that impacts how easy you can make it to, again, reach your goals. So let's look at some typical elements of a website when we think about intuitiveness. When people think of web design, they often think of the overall template or the look and feel, the graphics and layout that appear consistently throughout the website. That design is sometimes called the skin of the site or the theme or the overall components. Within the graphic template, there's a lot of common elements that appear on most sites, including the header or the top section of the website. The header usually includes your company logo, and again, usually in the left corner, and most website visitors expect that the logo will link to the homepage. I run into this all the time where people think that they need to have a home button on their website. It's generally consistently understood that if you click on the logo in the upper left, it's going to take you back to the homepage. As well as the header, there's a footer or a bottom section of your website. The footer usually includes important links, contact information, and copyright information. Navigation is usually horizontally across the top of the site, below the header, or vertically on the left side of the website. And the site design should lay out a set of guidelines that keep the web pages looking consistent. Your website should have similar colors, font sizes, font styles, and types of content on all of the pages of the website. If you're using a content management system like Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, Drupal, or my personal favorite, WordPress, this is really simple to do. A content management is a super popular option for building websites. There's many out out there, but all of them should have in common the ability to easily change and customize the design or template or in WordPress theme. And all the same principles apply whether you're creating something from HTML using a pre-built template, using a content management system. You need to think about the website design as a whole. Here's a few key factors to consider when you're designing your site. First, create or choose a professional and attractive design and make that design consistent across the entire site. Many businesses are opting for or shifting to minimalist designs. In other words, they focus on business goals rather than elaborate graphics. Make your navigation clear, simple, and easy to use. It should be easy for site visitors to get around on the site. A search is a helpful feature, especially for sites with a lot of pages. Most visitors will expect to find the site search at the top right corner of a web page. And your website is a way to share information with your target audience. Useful content, preferably original content that you created if you want to get found on Google and other search engines, should be presented in a large, clear format with enough contrast to read and clarity in goal. Focus again on that call to action. Your website can help visitors to do stuff or offer functionality to help support your business goals. And don't forget about mobile devices. I've said this tons, so if you're a BusyWeb or a Dave fan, you'll know that mobile device usage has skyrocketed in the past few years. Now more than 50%, probably closer to 55 or even 60% of all web traffic is now coming from smartphones and tablets. So making your website work on mobile devices isn't an afterthought anymore, it's a priority. Google absolutely prioritizes websites that think about mobile design or that are what's called mobile responsive. And if you're not specifically optimized on your website for mobile devices, if it's not mobile responsive, you're going to have trouble in search engine results. Responsive design simply adjusts the site's appearance to best present the information based on the size of the screen. If you want to have an easy test on if your website is mobile responsive, go to your website on your computer and click on the Chrome window and make that window as skinny as possible. Just click on the right-hand bar and scroll it so that it's as skinny as possible. If the website reconfigures itself, your website is probably mobile responsive. If it's not, and the website instead just cuts off, then your website isn't mobile responsive. You might have a mobile version of your website, but that's not nearly as good as far as search engines and users are concerned as simply having a website that's going to adapt automatically. You don't want to manage or goof around with multiple versions of your website. That confuses search engines, and it adds additional text or code that slows down the browsing experience and makes your website harder to crawl for Google and other tools. So, mobile-friendly is an important first step. Here's a few additional tips on working with a mobile-friendly template. First, make that navigation easy and intuitive. Website visitors expect that clicking the logo will return them to the homepage, as an example. Another tip, keep your nav menu short, your navigation short. On the desktop version of a website, if you have a luxurious 15-inch screen, visitors usually don't have trouble using drop-down menus and sub-navigation. Compare that to someone trying to navigate on a 4-inch screen with their finger and needing to tap on it in order to even see what's underneath it. Much more difficult, right? That's why mobile optimized sites use relatively simple navigation and large, easy-to-click buttons and links. Really think about your homepage. Chances are that's the first web page a mobile visitor will see. What critical info does anyone that visits your website need? Is it a phone number? Is it an address? Make sure that this information is front and center. Also, make it easy to complete tasks. I'll keep saying this. You need to focus on your call to action, what you're asking people to do, and make that readily visible via a clickable button. You might want to allow visitors to use the site without registering for an account. If they want to buy something, give them the option to check out as a guest. If your site has forms, minimize the number of fields, especially required fields. Autofill whenever possible. If it's a big form, use clearly labeled progress bars to help people get through them. Allow them to save at different points so that they can come back to it later. And if possible, include features like autocomplete or filtering so that it can appear like a short form, but then as people select different options, for example, if someone selects other as the color that they're requesting, let them fill that in, and that wouldn't show up at all unless they selected that other. This is all incredibly easy to do when you're using a great web building tool like WordPress or some of the other content management systems, but absolutely optimize for usability on all pages. Research shows that with mobile design, it's best to take an all or nothing approach. In other words, build your website that optimizes all pages for mobile devices, not just your homepage. So now that we've talked about goals and tips for choosing a design, let's talk about the information within your website. A great website is well organized. Even if you don't have a lot of pages web pages now, your site should grow over time. Plan on existing and future content and how that will fit into the framework of your website. Let's take a look at what I mean. You may have heard the term information architecture, or IA. Sounds technical, but you don't need to be a web designer, program, or an architect to create one. Simply put, it's just a plan to organize the information on your website. Information architecture maps out the sections, pages, and functionality of your site. There are several pages and sections found on most websites. One is the home page. There's often an About Us page or section and a contact page. Depending on your business, you'll probably include products or services as well. But how do you organize that? The best way is to consider your business's goals. We talked about earlier a list that you should have started for your business goals. You can refer to that when you're planning out your website. Let's take a look at an example. This example business sells custom sports uniforms. In this example, their products are organized by sport, but there's a lot of other ways to do this. So it might be by type of activity inside of a sport, it might be by men or women or age range. So think about what your customer is going to most likely need to self-select. When you're choosing names and labels for parts on your site, keep them short and descriptive. And as you create your website plan, remember to keep the most important information in the main navigation. This depends, of course, on your business and your goals. Your plan can help you create and select the most appropriate web design template. And to get started, define the target audience. So we talked about this earlier, but you may have some new ideas as we go, so keep jotting those down. Think about what you want people to take away from your website. And you might want to try asking your existing customers what they most are interested in from your business, and certainly as they look at either your existing website or as they look at a competitor's website, perhaps. Make a list of keywords or what people would type into Google when they were going to find your business. So keywords are simply words or phrases that people would type into a search engine in order to find your business. So once you have those keywords, what people will search for, incorporate those into the navigation of your website, into the homepage of your website. Keep text and content clear and labeled as such so that people understand, and certainly browsing search engines will understand what your website is about. And use that list of keywords to keep site content and all of the other things that you need to do inside of your website, including setting the colors, icons, imagery, so that it's all consistent with your end goal. Make a list of the information and features you have or want to have on your website. And again, think about how each of those features is going to help you achieve a real business result. People get messed up all the time in this, where they try to think about what they should tell. So they talk about how they've been in business for 23 years, or they talk about their pet cat, or they share things that no client would ever really be interested in. Your goal as a business is to get people to the information that they're looking for as soon as possible. get inside of their heads again, and simply solve their problem. So we've talked about goals, design, organization. We're getting closer to building that site. Here's another way to think about a website. It's really a container. It contains all the information you want to share with your target audience. By that, I mean your content. It's a great website if it has useful and interesting content. When you hear the term website content, the first thing that probably comes to mind is text, like the words in a book. That's one type, but content doesn't stop there. If you sell beautiful cakes, you might want to have a photo gallery section of those cakes. If you deliver mulch to residential customers, add a video that shows people how to measure a flower bed and help them order the right amount of mulch. If you sell cameras, you might want to add PDFs of product manuals so your customers can download the information if they misplace that print manual. And just think about what kinds of content would be useful to your intended audience, to your best customers. What content would support your business goals? Whenever possible, create original and unique content. Shoot your own pictures, type your own text. This can set your business apart from the competition. Let's take a look at the 3 different types of content: text, images, and video. For every business website, there are some basic tips to keep in mind. Try to include important keywords, naturally, in your text. For example, if you own that mulch company in Nashville, the title on your homepage might say something like "Mulch for Sale in Nashville, Tennessee." Always lead with your most important information. If your goal is to get people to call your business, make sure that your phone number is prominent on every page. Bulleted lists can help make text more readable or scannable. And while there's necessarily not really a rule of thumb, the more frequently you update your website, the more likely it will be to appear in search engine results. Good rule of thumb, if you're ready to have a website, you should be ready to update your website at least weekly. Tell your audience what inspires and drives you rather than focusing on what you sell in order to connect better with potential customers. And here's 2 possible approaches: the personal story and the higher purpose story. A personal story might focus on the moment or circumstances that sparked your business idea. Here's a made-up idea for that camera business. Raphael was 6 when he got his best birthday gift of his life, a Polaroid camera. Since then, he's spent every day trying to become a better photographer. This website is the culmination of 45 years of experience, the best cameras, lenses, and accessories he can find. Or a higher purpose story might focus on the greater shared goal of your business. Another made-up example for the mulch business. Elena started our company when she was trying to create an environmentally friendly garden for the students at the elementary school where she taught. She discovered that many garden products were full of toxic chemicals, and many forests were being decimated for wood. So she started her company to provide a better option: organically grown and treated garden products harvested sustainably. So you can see that's the mission statement of your business, right? It might be your personal story, it might be your higher purpose, but you want to set up something to let people identify with the purpose of your business. Imagery can have an important influence on the success of your website as well. Some basic tips on images: make sure that they're clear and focused. Do they look right in the overall design? It's almost always better to use real photos rather than stock art. And before you add an image to your site, make sure you have permission to use that image. This is incredibly important. Don't just go to Google and do image search to find images for your website. Almost all images that you'll find in Google image search or any image search will contain some sort of copyright. And you can, and I've seen our clients that actually have been caught or been sued or been fined or simply sent an invoice by the owner of that image. So when possible, find an image that works for your company, take a picture yourself, and make sure that you clear all of the licensing on that. This is incredibly important. I mean, the costs that have been assessed to my existing clients has been $1,500 or more for just using a website that they shouldn't have used. One other thing to think about is the sizes of images. Digital images have 2 file sizes. or two types of sizes. One of the file size. The larger image sizes mean higher quality images. There is a trade-off. It takes longer for a web page to load with a bigger file size. Excuse me. In general, if you're sharing things like photographs of people or images that have lots of sharp or soft edges or gradients, a JPEG or .jpg format is probably your best option. If your image has sharp edges, it's perhaps a graphic of some sort that's probably been computer generated. GIF, GIF, or PNG file formats work very well for that. And other formats that you might receive from your designer, like EPS or PSD files, will need to be converted into either JPEG, GIF, or PNGs before you can be used on the website. And any content management system, WordPress actually makes this quite simple. It won't accept images that don't work. Make sure that those images are as small file size-wise as possible. In general, every image that you load to your website should be under basically around 30 kilobytes or about a third of a megabyte. So make sure that it's as small as possible, it's optimized, and there are a lot of tools out there to optimize your imagery. The smaller the image size, the faster your website loads, the better your search engine optimization, and the better the user experience. Again, remember, more than half of all web browsing happens on mobile devices. They're probably and perhaps might be on a cellular network, and those cellular networks can be very tricky. Wanted to talk one more thing. Last but not least, every image on your website should have alternative text or alt text. This is something that you've heard if you ever thought about search engine optimization, but alt text is simply telling the visitor's computer what that image is. It also tells Google what your images are. So if you have a picture of your founder, giving that alt text that says the name of the founder of your business and perhaps one of the keywords that you're trying to be found for can be a great way to rank well on search engines for that image. If you don't give your images alt text, Google and other tools simply don't know what those images are, and it's just out there for show and no use as far as Google's concerned. So make sure that you have alt text on your website images. Since this is a Google presentation on video, we're going to focus on YouTube. Video is a great kind of content to add to your website. Every day, people collectively watch 1 billion hours of YouTube video per day. It's easy to create a free channel on YouTube for your business. And when you do create videos, there's a 3 C's video strategy to keep in mind. Number 1, conversations. Rather than thinking of YouTube as a place to host videos, think of it as social media. Your goal is to build followers and subscribers, collect shares, likes, and comments. Ask questions in your video descriptions to encourage comments. Keep questions broad, positive, and upbeat, and reply back to foster conversation. Number 2, connections. Create playlists to connect videos and encourage visitors to watch more than one. Subscribers are automatically notified when a new content piece is published, and encourage viewers to subscribe with calls to action, both in voiceover and in visual cues. I'll be encouraging you to subscribe to one of the 250 videos that BusyWeb has published in our Buzz Builders and Busy Webinar series. Finally, conversions. Include short URLs in your video and description to help viewers find your site or your app. Track clicks by setting up a tracking link in Google Analytics. Again, very easy to do. And here's an exercise to get you started. Write a video description. Start by asking yourself what content would interest your target audience, and what content do you want to create? Might be a how-to, might be an unboxing of some product or service that you sell, might be some sort of entertainment, etc. What actions do you want viewers to take after watching your video? And do you know where on your website or app you want to send video watchers? Is all I'm going to say about YouTube, other than the #1 search engine, as we all know, is Google. You'd be surprised that the number 2 search engine in the world is actually YouTube. YouTube collects or is searched more often than Bing, Yahoo, Yelp, and all the other search engines combined, other than, of course, YouTube. So let's move on to another aspect that can help your website achieve business goals, the functionality of your site. Functionality in this context refers to the parts of your site that allow visitors to take specific actions. If you're making a list of all the functionality you want on your site, some things to consider include site search, a contact form, an online shopping cart or checkout, or perhaps it's a custom tool designed specifically for your customers. I'll share what I mean. Functionality can help you support your business goals. Here's 3 scenarios. First, a locally owned landscaping company delivers mulch to homes, but most homeowners order too much or too little. How do they help? Well, this company created an online mulch calculator. Customers enter the dimensions of their mulch beds and the depth they want, and the calculator tells them how many cubic yards they need to order. Challenge 2. You start your own salon, but you're the only person working there, and you can't answer the phones when you're with a client. What to do? Create or license an existing appointment scheduling tool so customers can book online. WordPress has all kinds of these that are available for very cheap or even free. Challenge 3. You answer the same set of questions on the phone every day. How can your website help? Well, create a simple web page, a frequently asked questions page, to help customers find the answers to their most basic questions. Here's a bonus tip on frequently asked questions. Every frequently asked question that you have on your website, consider making that its own separate page or post on your website. And posts on your website can be cross-linked across social media. What you're trying to do is be as useful as possible to as many people as possible. If you get a lot of the same kind of question, your audience is telling you what they're interested in or the problem they're having when they're trying to do business in your space. Answer that question, give them an easy answer, or display and explain why you are the best solution to that problem, and traffic will come your way. Last but not least, a great website absolutely needs to be search friendly. After all, if you made the time and effort and expense to plan and create a website, you'll want to make sure that the potential customers can find you when they're searching online. The process of helping a website increase its visibility on search engines is called search engine optimization, or SEO. SEO has its entire own presentation, and it's the entire business of Google, so there's reams of content on this. But here are some best practice tips to get you off to a good start. Imagine that the web is a book with trillions of pages. Google's job is to read that book, categorize the pages, and help searchers find the information on these pages. Easy, right? To read those pages, Google uses software robots called web crawlers or spiders. As new pages are found, they're added to Google's index. The data on this index is stored in facilities called data centers. When people search, results are shown and pulled from the data stored in these data centers. When you start your search, Google's algorithm, or mathematical solution to find the right content for you, starts the process of displaying the right results. The algorithm looks at the word or phrase that person types in and uses more than 200 signals to identify the most relevant results. These signals include the freshness of content on a website, how old it is, the number of other websites linking to a particular site, and the authority of those links, or how trustworthy the websites that are linking to those pages are, the quality of the content on the website, the URL or web address of that site and the page title, and whether the best result is a web page, an image, video, news article, and so on. After all that, the searcher sees a page like this, a search results page in search engine land speak and SERP. At the top, you see a word or phrase that the searcher typed in, called a search query. Below the search query, you see the search results. The page could include ads, identified with an ad label. Below the text ad in this example, you see the start of natural or organic results. These are results that aren't paid for. Creating a search-friendly site helps increase your chances of appearing in this organic section of the page. Organic results are web pages that Google's algorithm has identified as the most useful matches for this search. Clicks on organic results are free. It's important to note that websites can't pay Google to appear in organic search results, and advertising does not influence a website's organic presence or position. On the right sidebar, you see a section that provides useful information to the searcher. This is called a Google My Business listing, and that's a free tool that helps you add your business information into Google Search and Maps. This Google Business stuff is readily available at Google My Business. Just Google it, super easy to find. Set up your page if you haven't already. Here's a few tips specific to building your website that can help. First, optimize load times, especially for people viewing your site on mobile devices. This is, again, where you're going to want to have the most compressed or smallest file sizes of images so that they load quickly. Original content, useful, information-rich, clear, and accurate information should include keywords users would type to find pages, and make sure that your site actually includes those words. For links, especially in the navigation, use text when possible, and if you have an image button, for example, be sure to include relevant alt text on that image. Good page titles and descriptions. Ensure that the title elements and alt attributes are descriptive, specific, and accurate. And remember that information architecture stuff we were talking about? It not only helps your human visitors, that also helps Google interpret the content, including the what's important and what's not important on your website. And finally, design your site for all browsers, device types and sizes, including desktops, tablets, and smartphones. So we've covered a ton of information today. Let's talk about what to do next. First, start by making a list of business goals that you want to support with your website. As a reminder, this might be increased sales, might be better branding, it might be showing up higher in search engine results so that when people search for you, you show up more readily. It might be getting more people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. It might be any of a billion things, but think about what matters most to your business's growth. If you're building a brand new website, choose a design that works on all browsers and devices. If you've had your site for a while, see how it performs on all devices, especially mobile. Remember to use the mobile-friendly test. Either squish your window, or you can also Google for mobile-friendly test and enter your website URL, and Google will tell you for free if your website is mobile responsive. Third, create or recreate a plan for your content, your website's information architecture. Organization will help human visitors and search engines navigate your website more easily. Once you have your plan, start adding content. The more often you can publish useful, original content on your site, the better. Think about how your website can offer functionality that supports your business goals. Before investing the time and resources on building a custom tool, it's worth checking to see if existing software, again, my favorite is WordPress, that can be bought or licensed to create your site. And last but not least, make sure that your content is search engine friendly. If search engines can't find your website, neither can your customers. So if you're ready to build what you've learned so far, you can reinforce today's workshop by taking free interactive lessons about a variety of digital marketing topics. If you love what this was, give me a comment and I'll let you know when I'm doing my next GYVO event, Get Your Business Online. These fast, easy lessons can take about 5 minutes to complete, and they can help you learn more about online marketing wherever you have a few minutes to spare. Select lessons are available at gybo.com/lessons. You can download Primer, which is a free mobile app that includes all of these lessons. It's available on Google Play and, of course, on iOS at the App Store. You can access these links again at gybo.com/lessons. busyweb.com/lessons. Quick, easy, 5-minute pops, and we're going to go into more depth in future presentations. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. On behalf of the entire Google team and on behalf of BusyWeb, I wish you great success growing your business online. If you did have questions, I'd love for you to connect with me on that. And again, the way to do that is either to list and link a question under the live chat feature of the Hangout or of the YouTube Live. Or of course, you can send me a note at dave@busyweb.com if you have a question. So would love to have that from you. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. And remember, at BusyWeb, we help you generate buzz without getting stung. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. Have a fantastic week.